Welcome to Well Read, a program about a little bit of this and a little bit of that at your Ames Public Library. I'm Jerry Hyde, Youth Services Manager at the Ames Public Library, here to tell you and share with you some of the hats that I wear in our community, but all of them have a common thread. And that common thread is early literacy and the importance of reading, the protection and the safekeeping of children in our community, as well as your child, and what you can do as a parent, and help empower that child in their school life and in their future and in our community. And today's no different. The upcoming month of April is Month of the Young Child. We're starting some of our programs a little bit earlier this year. The program that we're going to talk about today, Step Into Storybooks, is at the end of March. But all of it is about celebrating your child and what you can do with your child. And our focus this year with Step Into Storybooks is science and those activities that you can combine those books and things with your child, even the little wee ones. And today I have two experts with me. One is Mona from the Raising Readers in Story County, which is one of the hats that I also wear as a member of Raising Readers in Story County. And the program is also sponsored by Ames Morning Rotary and Rotary in general, which I'm also a member, and then of course the library. And there's a couple others too, Mona, that I don't happen to be wearing any of those hats. Can you explain the other partners in our wonderful program that we're having in March?
Well, most definitely. We have two new partners for our 6th annual Step Into Storybooks event. And one of our partners is the Ames Community Preschool Center, also known as ACPC. They are hosting the event in their new building on Carroll, the old Wilson Bircher Elementary School. And then our other partner is the Ames Laboratory employees. Last year they provided a donation for Raising Readers to purchase science-related books for infants, toddlers, and school-age children. And so we are really grateful for the Ames Lab employee donation. And so for this event, we're able to provide the first 300 children who come will receive a book to take home. And we appreciate that from the Ames Lab.
And as a librarian and wearing that hat, you never can have too many books in your own personal library. After all, this is our personal library right here, and we have thousands of books that we have access to. But having that always ready and not have to worry about fines or any of those things at home, those personal books are very, very important as well. And now I understand that we also have another partner in our expertise here. And it's Sarah. Can you tell us a little bit about us? Or about you,
sure,
not about
yes.
us, about us, and you can analyze us.
No, I'm very happy to be here. I'm very thankful to work with everyone here. I worked at the Science Center of Iowa for a while, and then I taught 1st and 3rd grade. And now I teach the literacy and the science methods at Iowa State University. And so this has been a really fun experience for me to learn more about Raising Readers and the programs at the library too.
So it's a great combination, a great partnership, as we always try. That is one of the things that we do at the library as well, is try to partner with our community groups that we have. Because you can't do it all. I mean, we can't do it all. We have to have our friends in the community, and what wonderful friends and partners that we have. So, Mona, you mentioned it's our 6th annual Step Into Storybooks event, and this is going to have a little difference as far as, typically we've been in another location, and this year we are going to take advantage of the new ACPC building and kind of highlight that. They've always been having a booth, but tell us a little bit about what the focus is this year for Step Into Storybook.
This year, the Step Into Storybooks, our theme is exploring science through books, and it's providing hands-on activities for children to work with STEM activities. And so we have 3 main goals for organizing the event, and the first goal is to feature children's books and to show how you can take a children's book and then have enrichment learning activities from that book. And especially with science, adults may feel a little uncomfortable that they have to be a science expert, especially parents where maybe science wasn't their favorite topic at school. And so, and even early childhood professionals kind of shy away from science, but people seem to be very comfortable with children's books. So it's a model for us and for the community to show, here we have a book about sounds. And so at each station, we'll have a guest reader who will read sections of a book, like, for example, the sound book. And then there will be hands-on interactive activities for infants and toddlers and preschoolers to engage in different ways of making sounds. It's called a tube phone, where it's a long clear tube and there's funnels at both ends, and you can whisper on one end and then the child can hear on the other end. So making it play-based and interactive, and for children to use all their senses as well. And so that way adults can see where, okay, this isn't so bad, or I could use a book, and then from there use what I have in my home. You don't have to go out and buy expensive toys. Right. And we're trying to model too with using things that parents could find at home, or at least adapt what they see at Step Into Storybooks, and then feel more comfortable. And then that way they can explore with their child at home. And then the second goal is just to bring the community together. And so, again, we are a community of readers, and then just emphasize that for parents, and then just get to know about the different resources too, especially, the library and Raising Readers, and what we'll provide for people who attend. They can visit the Raising Readers website, and there will be some handouts about different science activities as well.
I believe it. Now, in your conversation here, you said a couple things. One of them was an acronym, STEM. Can either one of you speak to what STEM means?
You can go ahead.
Oh, sure. It means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And, there's STEM for elementary school, high school, college, graduate school. And so some people shy away to think that STEM is not appropriate for early childhood. But I mean, when you think about it, children are born natural scientists. They want to explore. They're into problem solving and testing of, for example, an infant with a rattle or a ball, shaking it, just being involved with that. And so for early childhood STEM, it's not teaching scientific facts. It's more of building upon children's interest in what's appropriate for their age. And for early childhood, it's being active, physically active, with open-ended questions, and also providing activities where children use all their senses, not just sight, but touch, feel, sound, and so forth.
And I can't help but think about we've been doing on Thursday nights a program called Milk and Bookies that we've been featuring some of the STEM activities, and the song that I'm using this week is about making a sound with your cheeks. We're defining what our face, what our eyes do. So we're blinking and experiencing that. But the one favorite, and that's what I keep telling everybody all week long, and now I'm going to do it on TV. So we'll see how that. But you puff up your cheeks, you fill them full of air, and then you make the sound, and you here and up there. And it's, just that experience, and see the delight in the child, and that is just at its simplest form, a very wonderful way of experiencing sound and the vibration that's in your mouth, and filling that space up with air, and then asking. And talking about that experience. And that's all we're talking about, because that was the second part of my question was, infants and toddlers and preschoolers and science, and, all I can, as an adult that didn't necessarily like chemistry, and that's what I go to. And so tell us some more about some of the other activities that we might be doing.
Well, and the one thing, if you don't mind me adding, is sometimes when we say engineering, it can be a little confusing when it's added in. But a lot of times I'll just explain it to people as we present them with a problem, and they come up with an answer such as, you need to get from here to there to build a bridge or something out of materials. How are you going to do that, and how will that help solve a problem? So that's one of the ways we kind of talk about
so it's
that
not
too.
actually going out and building that bridge and doing the mathematics and the geometry and that part. It's actually thinking through and having that basis.
Yeah, trying to solve a problem and using some of the science that and the math that and the technology to help solve that problem.
And like you mentioned too, science is all about observation,
And that's what we kind of want to highlight. Sarah and I can talk a little bit about the scientific inquiry, because with all of this, we're putting it, integrating it into what the stations that we do have. We have 13 interactive stations. And so with young children, you can help them kind of think like scientists, and it's more of a process. They're not, again, memorizing facts, or it's not skills, but children learn based on their interests and again, open-ended materials. And so for infants, it's just that observation and exploration. So we'll have a baby play zone where there'll be materials with different textures, and just feeling something smooth or rough. That helps also with classification, which is one of the scientists use when they go through solving a problem. And when we talk about science, it's just science is learning about the world around us.
Right.
And for children, it's in their natural environment. And so for infants, when they're exploring different objects, we can also build their language development. That's a real focus with any topic that you're learning about. You can integrate the early literacy skills. And so you can think about it as science literacy or science vocabulary, but words like smooth or rough, the different textures. Children or infants are learning about the different characteristics of objects, and that's part of physical sciences, which we have different stations at Step Into Storybooks. And it's also looking at changes, and that seems to be common on the 3 areas that we'll focus on is the physical sciences, the life sciences, and earth and space sciences. It's interacting with materials to know about the different properties, the material's properties and characteristics, like size. Is it bigger or smaller? Is it heavy or light? And so those are things that children naturally explore while they're playing. And then also looking at any changes that when Sarah was talking about engineering, it's taking a shoe box and a piece of cardboard and making a ramp, and then putting your balls or cars down and seeing, how can I change the incline to make it faster or slower? And so it's, changing materials in that respect. And so Sarah, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the science inquiry practices.
Yeah, when we talk about inquiry, we usually talk about asking and answering a question, and then conducting an investigation, and then presenting those results to others, so making it public. And so these are some of the inquiry practices on our very nice poster. And so, observing and exploring, and those are things that young children they're just excellent at, asking all those why questions, and then helping them connect maybe a word that goes with some of the things that they're feeling, seeing, or doing is a great way for a parent to help out. Asking questions, which they're always good at. And then what we always talk about with early childhood science too is if they ask that question, then following that up and getting an answer. And you don't necessarily have to give them the answer, but just ask them, what do you think? And why do you think that? And then that leads into good science inquiry practices, predicting, using tools and instruments, and then the planning investigations. And they can be very simple. They don't have to be elaborate, just what if I do this or this? 2 different things, and then that's great. I'm recording what happens, and I always laugh because we always talk about, well, they don't really know how to write words, but we would record maybe with a smiley face if it worked out, or a frowny face if it didn't. So there's different ways you can use pictures to record. And then interpreting results, and usually what I have teachers do or parents do is I'll say, ask your child to say, I think this, and then because. So they're making a claim, and then they're following it up with evidence based on whatever results they got. And then they're also then communicating and sharing ideas, and just learning how to use that language in science. And then that language can get tied to books or writing or other things too. So those are some of the things.
Thank you, Sarah. And then how to tie this all together with Step Into Storybooks is we have a earthworm station. And so the National, I apologized to this agency if I get their name wrong, the National Laboratory of Agriculture and Renewable Energy, I believe, is, maybe I got that wrong, and I apologize. They do earthworm studies because their specialty is soil. And so in combining all of the scientific inquiry, children are able to observe, they're able to explore, to touch the earthworms, and then also to using the tools or instruments. They can use a magnifying glass to get a closer look. And then also providing children with information, because when you look at an earthworm, you don't know where the head or the tail is.
Right.
So we will have a poster there that shows the anatomy of the worm, which is usually it's the head and then the tail, that they refer to it as the anus, and then there's different segments which that children could see, and then worms. There's that comparison of there's small worms or short worms or long worms, and then children will have a piece of paper where they can draw a picture of a worm that they see, and then they could have the adult dictate what they want to say about what they saw the worm, or how the worm felt, or what the worm was doing. So again, it's bringing that all together and for the child to practice this scientific inquiry.
And as I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking of several parents that would go, yes, worm. So they could also record the parents' reaction.
Exactly. And that's a common thing too.
Yeah.
And I think my nephew, who is 3 years old, he taught me this, where we were visiting and there was a spider in the room, and my 2 older nieces were screaming like, "Oh, get it away!" And he said, "Wait, spiders are important. They eat insects." Here a 3-year-old was just reassuring people that
Yes,
insects are important, spiders are important, and it's all about the world. So I was like, oh, he has a really good early childhood science teacher.
He's only 3.
And people, and that's important too for parents and adults who work with young children, is to model that things aren't, yucky bugs or icky bugs, but you may just say, well, I prefer not to touch the bug, because we are having the Iowa State Insect Zoo there as well.
Right.
And so that might be more of the observation of the different insects, or there might be a chance to, see the bugs. I think they're bringing
The
hissing cockroaches. And so when someone thinks about a cockroach, they're like, no, thank you. But again, your child is looking for you to kind of take the
Right, to
lead and
model.
to say, okay, I don't feel comfortable with cockroaches, I'll stand here, but we can go and you can explore.
Right.
Or even if we did have a big python snake, it's okay, you could touch it, but I don't prefer not to touch it. So it's not discouraging children, but to encourage what they're interested in. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to touch a cockroach or a snake if you're a child?
Memories come back here.
No, I don't know. I'm just teasing.
The first time Iowa State insect group was at the library. The person didn't have a partner, and they got sick, and so here I need to go. And it's like, this is a hissing cockroach, and do you want to feel it? I'm feeling it right now,
See?
and and talking.
Yeah.
Well, in the emotional
Yes.
type, all those things come. But I think it's very important for us to talk. To say this isn't doing worksheets.
No.
This is exploring and then drawing pictures or telling a story and recording that. But it isn't that, I watch this do this like we would do in a school setting. That is a different type of learning science and STEM activities and that type of process. This is, again, kind of building those skills.
Yes.
We don't teach reading for a preschooler or a toddler, but we provide them with those skills and opportunities to learn those skills so that they're better prepared to read. So it's very much similar to that.
Well, I think, too, what'll be great is that they'll get these concrete experiences that then help them make sense of the text. It gives them something to base it on, and that's what's so wonderful about the science stations that you have set up. So,
yeah, and one thing about using children's books is that it's recommended that you share science books that have accurate information, but then you can also share books like picture books, like board books about, for example, for life sciences, learning about your body parts. And so there's interactive lift a flat board books for infants where, peekaboo, I see your eyes. And so then you can have that interaction, and still it's not considered a factual science book, but it is accurate because children do have eyes and ears and mouths. And then also using nonfiction books are wonderful a wonderful way to provide children, especially with that vocabulary, and they may be a little more advanced than what parents may be used to in sharing books with, say, for example, preschoolers. But you can just, any book, you can treat it as a wordless picture book, and especially if there's really enriched illustrations, that you can just talk about the pictures, even though it may be written for a higher reading level or grade level. There's so much that's happening in the pictures with science books that you can pick and choose what you want to focus on, but yet the vocabulary is there to share with your child.
Right.
And especially if your child is like fascinated with astronauts or rockets, I mean, you can, I think it's the DK Publishing has more advanced books, but it's more the facts.
Right.
And so
like
you
eyewitness,
can check those out. and-
eyewitness books. And
Exactly.
I like to share those with parents as well, because you can become an expert very quickly for your toddler or your preschooler to look at the book and then to, point to the pictures and talk. And I think the publishers have been doing a wonderful job with some more of the early literacy, or the early nonfiction books. We now have an easy to read nonfiction section that we didn't used to have because of the opportunities that are out there, that they have simplified the text. But the text is even written differently than a story. I mean, it definitely is a nonfiction book versus a fiction book. And
Yeah, it doesn't have that
that
flow
exposure is a good.
that you're used
Yeah,
to, but
right.
the language is different, and it's an enriched language. And then also using, because technology is part of STEM, is using the internet to go to different websites that are tailored for children. There's the National Geographic has a kids website
wonderful.
where you can learn more, about earthworms, and it gives you different, like a photo, different photos of the anatomy of an earthworm. Or you can use, there's apps out there that talk about the different animals, and especially for toddlers, a mama bear with a baby bear or
and
cub.
then now the noises that
The
they
noises
make
and so forth.
Yeah.
And so there's a variety, and then even magazines aren't usually becoming obsolete, but like Ranger Rick or My Big Backyard, those are still excellent resources. And I know that the Ames Public Library does have.
And they do refer to different websites, which is a great, the internet is full of lots of inaccurate information and accurate information. And using those references and stuff directs you to a more accurate place, and instead of the whole world, you can have a focused area to go to.
And that's reassuring for parents or adults who work with young children, because it's okay to say, I don't know, but I know how we can find out that information.
Right.
And then that's, being able to be a self-learner. That's a life skill of being resourceful.
And that's what we're trying to make, because that's what makes a better community as well, and a successful community. So, so remind us again when our 6th annual Step Into Storybooks event is.
It is Saturday, March 29th at ACPC, and from 10 to noon. And then all the books that you see here, these are the gift books that children can choose from that are provided by the Ames Laboratory employee donations. So there's a variety of books for infants and toddlers.
The first 300 children will get a choice of the one book to take home with them. So we have some board books, and then picture books and nonfiction books that they can take home, as well as exploring those 13 stations sponsored by different agencies in the community. And so much like it always has been for our families that have attended before, but it's in a different location this year at ACPC on Carroll Street.
920 Carroll Avenue. And then if you'd like to visit the Raising Readers website at raising-readers.org, if there is a Step Into Storybooks, you'll see the Cat in the Hat. On the homepage, you click on there, and it'll provide you with more information about Step Into Storybooks. The program will be there, what stations will be, in case parents would like to see what the featured books are. And then also, we will have 4 handouts, one about scientific inquiry, what's appropriate for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. One will be about earth science, about what children can do to explore properties and materials about the earth, like soil and rocks and water, and then changes like the moon and the sun, and connecting that to their own life of bedtime and so forth. And then there'll be a handout for physical science and then for life science as well.
And those will be available on
the website.
in which I have to say that the website has many, many, many more opportunities.
Yes.
If you have not visited the Raising Readers website, you should access that, because that is a wonderful portal of information of so many different things.
And it's all free.
And it's all free. And we are very lucky in our community to have the Raising Readers in Story County. And you can access that with, again, the website is
raising-readers.org.
And so please visit that. And we have publicity out for the event as well. And if not, you can come to the library and ask, and we'll be sure to tell you where it's at and what's going to go on, and help you get to that website as well. We also, there are apps too that we are working on at the library. So if you're a Pinterest person, you can go to our Pinterest or our Facebook page and find some of those that information out too. So thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Mona, for visiting with us today. And I hope to see you again. And I know I'll see you at Step Into Storybooks. So thank you, viewers, for watching. And again, until next time, happy reading.